Welcome back, food lovers. Today, we're diving into the hidden treasures that might be lurking in your kitchen. You won't believe how much these everyday items could be worth. That's right, you heard me correctly. Those dusty old pans your grandmother used might be worth a bloody fortune. So get ready to raid your cupboards and attics, because we're about to uncover the hidden gems that could be right under your nose. Let's get cooking. Alright, you donkeys, let's talk Pyrex. No, not the stuff your mum used to microwave leftovers in. I'm talking about vintage Pyrex. The kind with the colourful patterns and designs. This ain't your average kitchenware, mate. These pieces, especially the rare patterns and limited editions, can fetch a hefty price. We're talking hundreds, sometimes even thousands of dollars for a single dish. Think about that while you're scraping burnt lasagna off your grandma's Pyrex. Collectors are going bonkers for these things. It's like finding gold in your cupboards, except it's colourful and you can't melt it down. But seriously, if you've got some vintage Pyrex lying around, don't use it to reheat last night's takeaway. Get it appraised. You might be sitting on a gold mine. Now, let's talk cast iron, the workhorse of the kitchen. These bad boys have been around for centuries, and they're built to last longer than a Michelin star restaurant. We're talking generations, people. And the best part, they actually get better with age. A well-seasoned cast iron skillet is like a fine wine. It just keeps getting better. And just like a fine wine, a vintage cast iron skillet can be worth a pretty penny. We're talking hundreds of dollars for a skillet that's been passed down through generations. Collectors are drawn to the history, the craftsmanship, and the fact that these things are virtually indestructible. So, if you've got one of these beauties tucked away in your kitchen, don't let it rust. Give it a good scrub, season it up and start cooking. You'll be amazed at the results, and you might even be able to retire early. Alright, let's talk about toasters, not those boring plastic things you get at the supermarket. I'm talking about retro toasters, those chrome beauties from the 50s and 60s. These toasters weren't just appliances, they were design statements. They were built like tanks, and they looked like they belonged in a rocket ship. And guess what? People are willing to pay a premium for that kind of vintage cool. We're talking hundreds, even thousands of dollars for a toaster that can still brown a slice of bread. Why? Because they're iconic, they're nostalgic, and they remind people of a simpler time. So if you've got one of these beauties gathering dust in your basement, dust it off and plug it in. You might be surprised at what it's worth. Copper cookware, it's beautiful, it's elegant, and it's bloody expensive. But for good reason. Copper is an incredible heat conductor, which means it heats up quickly and evenly. It's like cooking with a precision instrument. And let's not forget about the aesthetics. Copper cookware can elevate any kitchen from drab to fab. But here's the kicker: vintage copper cookware, especially pieces from renowned French brands, can be worth a small fortune. We're talking thousands of dollars for a single pot. So if you're lucky enough to have inherited your great-grandmother's copper cookware, don't even think about using it to boil water. Get it appraised. You might be sitting on a gold mine. Finally, let's talk about coffee grinders. Not those electric things that sound like a jet engine. I'm talking about antique coffee grinders, the kind your great-grandparents used to use. These beautifully crafted machines were built to last, and they produced a cup of coffee that would make even the snobbiest barista weep with joy. And guess what? They're making a comeback. Collectors are willing to pay top dollar for these vintage grinders, especially rare and unusual models. We're talking hundreds, sometimes even thousands of dollars for a grinder that can still crank out a decent grind. So if you happen to have one of these beauties stashed away in your attic, dust it off and give it a spin. You might be surprised at what it's worth. So there you have it. Check your kitchen and see if you have any of these hidden treasures. Who knows? You might be sitting on a small fortune. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Until next time, happy cooking!